The galaxy knew Queen Lysera of the Veiled Dominion as a calm and powerful ruler. But few understood the quiet ache she carried inside her. Years ago, when she was still a young princess, she had almost lost her life on a distant moon called Veil 3. She remembered flames everywhere, the ground shaking beneath her, and the air filled with smoke so thick she could barely breathe. Her guards had been scattered, her shuttle destroyed, and she had been moments away from collapsing when a strong pair of human hands had grabbed her arm. She remembered a man's firm, steady voice telling her to stay awake, to keep moving, and that she was not going to die. She had been too weak to see his face clearly. She only remembered the sound of his voice, the strange warmth of it, and the way he shielded her body from falling debris until help arrived. After that, she had been taken away by her own people, treated, protected, and hidden from the public. Her life had been saved, yet the identity of that human had remained a mystery. She had searched quietly for years, but across millions of humans in thousands of colonies, her memory of a voice was too small a clue. She eventually accepted that she might never find the man who had guided her out of death's door. Now, so many years later, she found herself traveling to Terra, the homeworld of humans. In a diplomatic visit meant to strengthen peace, her advisors expected tension. Humans were a rising force, growing stronger at a pace that frightened many alien empires. They were unpredictable, tough, and strangely emotional. Some rulers avoided them. Others respected them from a distance. But Lysera felt something different. She felt curiosity, almost a pull, as if something unfinished waited for her on this blue planet. Her transport ship descended through Earth's bright atmosphere, landing at a large human research and defense base near a coastline. The air smelled clean and sharp, and the sky held a warmth she had never seen on her cold homeworld. Soldiers lined up in formation to greet her, their boots striking the ground in firm rhythm. She stepped out with quiet dignity, her silver blue eyes scanning the scene. She expected someone high-ranking to welcome her, but instead, she heard a voice in the distance, carrying over the field. It was firm, controlled, and full of calm confidence. It was a voice that made her heart stop for a breath. She turned her head quickly toward the sound. A human man stood not far away, speaking to a group of young officers. He wore a simple uniform. Nothing fancy, yet he carried himself with an ease that came only from experience. His name tag read, Captain Aaron Hale. He was not smiling or trying to impress anyone. He simply spoke with clarity, explaining patrol routes and emergency procedures, his tone steady as stone. Lysera's pulse moved faster. She had heard thousands of voices in her life, diplomatic leaders, military commanders, advisors, enemies, friends. But this voice, this was the same one that had whispered to her through smoke and fire long ago. The same one that had told her she was going to live. The same one she had carried in her memory for years. She steadied her breath and approached the human officers. As she moved closer, Aaron finished his instructions and turned toward her. He bowed his head respectfully, not deeply, just enough to show acknowledgement. His eyes were clear, the type of eyes that had seen danger and still remained steady. She waited for a flicker of recognition, but none came. "Welcome to Terra, Your Majesty," he said. His tone was respectful, but simple, without fear or nervousness. Lysera studied him quietly. He did not tremble. He did not stare at her crown or her guards. He looked directly at her, as if she were a person, not a distant ruler. She found herself strangely impressed. The tour of the base began. Humans showed her research labs, training grounds, new ships, and advanced shields they were building. Engineers rushed around with excitement, trying to show their achievements. Lysera noticed that humans loved progress. Their enthusiasm burned brighter than anything she had seen on other worlds. But as the tour continued, she sensed something else, a shift in the atmosphere. Soldiers began speaking more quietly. Officers exchanged quick signals. Screens flashed warnings that were turned off before she could read them. She felt tension rise like a silent wave. Finally, she walked beside Aaron again and asked him directly, "Your people look concerned. What is happening?" He hesitated for a moment, as if deciding how much truth he should share. "Unidentified ships entered the system 2 hours ago. We are tracking them carefully. We don't want to cause panic." Are they hostile?" she asked. "We don't know yet," he replied. Lysera admired his honesty. Most leaders hid the truth until it was too late. She walked beside him, as alarms stayed quiet, yet tension grew like an unseen storm. Her mind drifted back to the memory of the attack she had survived years ago. The ships, the weapons, the symbols, they all belonged to one enemy, the Kairos Raiders. They were ruthless, striking quickly and disappearing into shadows. They had tried to kill her once. She had defeated their forces since then, but they had never forgiven her. If they were here now, that meant something dangerous, something bigger than a simple attack. She stayed close to Aaron, watching the humans' movements. They were preparing in silence, but their eyes held determination. She admired their courage again. Humans were smaller than her species, physically weaker in many ways, yet their hearts burned like suns. She had always wondered how they carried such strength. The afternoon stretched long, filled with subtle preparations. Lysera noticed Aaron studying the sky every few minutes, as if waiting for something. She felt a strange sense of safety near him, a feeling she had only experienced once before, on the day he saved her life. She wondered if she should ask him about Veil 3, but she held back. She feared looking foolish if she was wrong. After all, what were the chances that on a single planet with billions of humans, the exact same man would be standing before her again? As she was thinking quietly, a soft alarm sound echoed through the base. It was not loud, not enough to alarm civilians, but enough to change the air instantly. Officers straightened. Soldiers moved toward their stations with fast steps. Aaron touched his communicator and spoke calmly, but his tone held seriousness. Lysera felt her chest tighten. Something was coming. Aaron approached her and said, "Your Majesty, I need to ask you to stay near the secure building. We don't have clear information yet." Instead of fear, she felt a strange mix of strength and curiosity. She lifted her chin and said, "I will stay close, but I want to know what is happening." He looked at her, surprised by her calmness. "We detected energy signatures, matching raider ships," he said quietly. "Kairos?" she whispered. He nodded slowly. "Yes. Do you know them?" She did not answer at first. Old memories rose like ghosts, the attack on Veil 3. The smoke, the fear, the human voice guiding her. She felt a tremor in her chest. These same raiders had tried to remove her from the galaxy. If they were here now, the danger was not only for her, but for this human base too. She finally said, "They once tried to take my life." Aaron's steady eyes changed slightly. It was not shock or fear, it was a quiet fire. A protective instinct she instantly recognized. The same feeling she remembered long ago, when he had shielded her with his body. "Then we won't let them get close," he said firmly. His confidence warmed her chest in a way she didn't expect. She realized something in that moment. Humans did not just fight with strength. They fought with heart. The sun began to fall, casting long shadows across the base. Ships prepared for launch, shields activated, and soldiers lined up in quiet readiness. Lysera stood near a viewing window beside Aaron as the sky slowly dimmed. She could feel the storm approaching. She turned to him and said quietly, "Captain, have you ever been to the moon, Veil 3? He looked puzzled. "A long time ago, during my early missions," he admitted. "Why do you ask?" Her heart thudded hard. She waited, hoping for another detail. "Did you rescue someone there?" she asked, softly. He paused, searching through old memories. "Yes, there was an explosion. I found someone trapped. I carried her out until her guards came. I never learned her name." Lysera's breath caught in her throat. The final piece clicked into place. This was him, the human she had searched for, the voice she had memorized, the one who had saved her life when she was young and helpless. And he had no idea who she was. A mix of shock, relief, and emotion rushed through her. After years of searching, the truth stood only steps away from her. She stared at him quietly, her heart beating stronger than ever. Before she could speak, a new alarm flashed red. The Keros ships had entered the atmosphere. The moment she had feared had arrived. And as the sky thundered, she finally knew one thing clearly. The human who had once saved her life was now standing beside her again, without realizing the bond they already shared. The red alarm lights pulsed across the base, like a heartbeat of danger. Soldiers ran to their positions, engineers activated defense shields, and commanders shouted calm instructions over the comms. The air changed instantly. It became heavier, sharper, filled with tension that all species could feel. Lysera watched from the command balcony as the screens displayed glowing dots, moving fast toward Earth's atmosphere. These were not peaceful visitors. These were Keros raiders, her old enemies, and their presence here could only mean something serious. Aaron stood beside her, his expression steady and clear. His calmness reminded her of the day he had saved her, even if he didn't recall her face. She could see the same calm focus in him now, the same strength she had depended on when she was younger and helpless. It made her chest feel tight in a way she didn't fully understand. He turned to her. "Your Majesty, we need to get you to the secure bunker." She lifted her chin slightly. "No. If the Keros are here for me, running will only make the humans their next target." He frowned lightly, not in anger but in worry. He opened his mouth to protest, but she continued before he could speak. "I can help. I know their tactics. I know their ships. I am not a weakness here." Aaron studied her for a long moment. He saw determination in her eyes, quiet, unwavering, royal in a way that did not rely on crowns or status. It was the same determination he had seen once before in the flames of Veil 3, the same determination that had pushed her to keep walking even when she could barely breathe. "All right," he said finally, "but stay close to me." The way he said it was not a command of control but of protection, a very human kind of promise. Together, they moved to the central command room. Screens displayed multiple enemy signatures breaking into the atmosphere, each one sharp and fast. The Keros ships always came like knives in the dark. Human commanders approached Aaron with updates. He issued orders without panic, dividing air units, strengthening shield grids, and coordinating evacuations for non-combat personnel. His voice stayed even, every word precise. Lysera noticed how the other humans trusted him instantly, without hesitation. He had earned their respect through action, not rank. As the Keros descended, Lysera felt old memories rising like dust in her mind. The same metallic hum of their engines, the same sharp sound before their weapons fired. She remembered being younger, terrified, unable to find her guards. That fear had almost swallowed her back then. But now, she was not the same frightened princess. And she was not alone. Aaron glanced at her again. "If you remember anything specific about their weapon systems, tell me." Reader 8. Reader 8-4. Alda sings on. "I remember everything," she said softly. The Keros raiders were merciless, but they were predictable if one understood their hunger for chaos. "One of their weaknesses is the way they launch their first attack," she explained. "They send small vessels first, pretending to test defenses. But the real strike comes from the ship behind them, hidden in the shadow." Aaron nodded quickly. So the small ships are a distraction. Yes, she confirmed. They want defenders to waste power early. Aaron adjusted the positions of the human air units immediately. Other commanders looked surprised, but they followed his direction without questioning. Humans were adaptable. They changed plans fast, which made them dangerous enemies. The first wave of Keros ships shot through the clouds, their black metal reflecting red from Earth's sunset. They fired strange bursts of energy, but the human shields absorbed most of it. Human pilots took off from the base's launch pads, streaking into the sky. Their engines roared like thunder across the ground. Lysera watched in awe. Humans did not fight with silence, they fought with noise, fire, and fierce determination. Aaron remained calm as he monitored the battle. His hands moved quickly across the controls, switching screens, analyzing positions, adjusting commands. Lysera could tell he was experienced. He fought not only with weapons but with strategy. Suddenly, deeper alarms flashed. A massive signature appeared on the screen, much larger than the first wave. Lysera's breath tightened. This was the real ship. The Keros flagship. It's the same class that attacked me years ago, she whispered. Aaron's eyes hardened. Then we stopped them here. More human ships launched. Ground units prepared anti-air weapons. Shield generators increased in power. But Lysera knew something else, something humans could not see yet. They will target the commander, she said quietly. They always do. They believe destroying the leader breaks morale. Aaron looked at her. That means they'll come for you. Or for you, she corrected. They may know who is in command. He didn't flinch. Then they can try. There it was again, the same fire she remembered from Veil 3. Humans were strange. They feared death like all species. Yet when danger came, they stood between it and others with no hesitation. Their courage came from emotion, not logic. The first explosion shook the base. Dust fell from the ceiling. People steadied themselves. Lysera instinctively reached for the railing, but Aaron moved first. He grabbed her arm firmly, guiding her away from falling debris. The moment touched her memory so strongly that she almost froze. It was the same grip, the same exact feeling from years ago. She felt a shiver go through her, but she forced herself to stay focused. More explosions echoed outside as the Keros flagship unleashed its attack. Human fighters responded, firing missiles and pulse beams. The sky flashed with lights, like a storm made of fire. Aaron turned to his second-in-command. Bring ground teams to Sector 7. Protect the shield generators. Yes, sir. He then turned to Lysera. I want you near the inner control hub. It's safer. She shook her head. I can guide your teams. I know their patterns. If we move to Sector 7, we can stop them before they break your shields. Aaron stared at her again. His eyes searched her face, questioning and yet trusting. He finally nodded. Then stay beside me. They moved together through the base corridors. Soldiers ran around them, alarms blaring. The ground shook again as something massive hit the outer shields. Lysera sensed fear in the air, but she also sensed something stronger, resolve. Humans refused to break. As they reached Sector 7, the outer shields flickered. Large enemy dropships were approaching, preparing to release Raider ground units. Human soldiers lined up behind cover, ready to fight. Some looked nervous, but their hands remained steady on their weapons. Aaron stood at the front, placing himself between the coming danger and his people. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't stepping back. He was stepping forward. Lysera felt a swell of respect for him. If the universe needed a definition of bravery, it could point at Aaron Hale without hesitation. The dropships opened. Keros raiders descended, firing dark beams that melted metal. Humans responded with precision. The battle on the ground exploded into action. Aaron directed his teams, guiding them with quick hand signals and clear commands. Lysera provided strategic advice, explaining the raiders' weak points. Her voice remained calm, even when enemy fire struck dangerously close. She moved with the grace of a ruler who had survived battles before. At one point, a Keros warrior aimed directly at her. Aaron reacted instantly. He grabbed her shoulders and pulled her behind thick metal shielding before the blast hit. The heat scorched the air where she had been standing. His action was protective, instinctive, and completely fearless. "You stay alive," he said firmly. His words were simple, but they struck deep. This was the second time in her life he had pulled her away from death without thinking twice. But before she could answer, another explosion shook the shield generator. Sparks flew across the ground. The human teams tried to repair it, but the damage was spreading. If the generator fell, the entire base would be exposed. Lysera stepped forward. "I can stabilize the core energy. My species can interact with power systems differently. Let me try. Let me try." Lysera stepped. Lysera stepped. Lysera stepped forward. "And anybody percented." Aaron hesitated. He wanted to protect her, but he knew losing the generator could end everything. "Are you sure?" "Yes." He nodded. "I'll cover you." She moved to the generator, her hands glowing faintly with her natural energy abilities. It had been years since she used them in a real battle, but her power returned like an old friend. She pressed her hands against the damaged core, channeling her strength to repair the failing energy lines. Aaron stood behind her, firing at raiders who tried to approach. His stance stayed firm, unwavering, like a wall that refused to crumble. Lysera felt him there, close, guarding her as fiercely as he had when she was a young princess lost in the smoke long ago. After several tense minutes, the core stabilized. The shield generator hummed back to full power. Human soldiers cheered, even in the middle of battle. Aaron looked at her with genuine admiration. "You saved the shield. And you protected me," she replied softly. They didn't speak more. They didn't need to. The battle around them continued with thunderous noise. The Keros raiders grew frustrated. Their attacks became desperate. Humans pushed them back with coordinated force, unit by unit. But Lysera sensed something else. The Keros flagship still hadn't revealed its main purpose. She knew them. They always had a hidden goal. And as she looked toward the sky, she felt a cold shiver. They were not done. Not even close. The real danger was still waiting, and she feared it was aimed directly at the man standing beside her. The battle outside the base grew louder, like a storm pounding the earth again and again. Smoke rose into the sky, mixing with the evening light, until everything looked painted in red and gold. Human soldiers kept fighting without fear, pushing back every Keros raider unit that tried to break through. Lysera felt pride rising inside her as she watched them. Humans were full of fire. Even when tired, even when wounded, they refused to step back. They fought for each other, side by side, like a single living force. But deep inside, she knew the Keros had not shown their true purpose yet. Their flagship still hovered in the outer atmosphere, silent and watching. It reminded her too much of the attack years ago. When she was younger, she hadn't realized how calculated the Keros were. They didn't waste resources unless they had a target worth taking. And this time, the target wasn't just her. The target was the human base, the shield generator, and perhaps Aaron himself. Aaron moved through the battlefield with calm precision, shouting instructions, covering soldiers, guiding fire teams, and checking on the wounded. He didn't hide behind anyone. He stepped forward every time danger approached, protecting strangers with the same instinct he had once used to protect a young alien girl he didn't even know. That same instinct had saved Lysera years ago, and it was saving lives again now. She stayed close to him, offering quick advice whenever she saw Keros patterns forming. He listened to her, trusted her input, and changed tactics quickly. Together, They became a strange but powerful team, one human commander and one alien queen, standing side by side in a battle that could shape more than just one base or one world. Suddenly, a new signal flashed on the command display. The Keros flagship had begun to descend. Its enormous shape pierced the clouds, casting a long, cold shadow over the battlefield. A quiet fear rippled through the human ranks. Even the bravest soldiers felt the weight of something so huge and dangerous. Lysera's heart beat faster. "They are coming for a direct strike," she said. Aaron clenched his jaw. "Then we stop them before they land." Human artillery turned toward the sky. Pilots prepared for another launch. Shield power was pushed to maximum. The ground shook as the flagship released a wave of drones, small, fast machines carrying heavy explosives. They raced down toward the base like a swarm of metal wasps. Aaron grabbed the comms. "All anti-air units focus on the drones. Don't let them reach the generators." Don't. Laser fire erupted from every direction. The sky became a battlefield of lights. Drones exploded mid-air, but some slipped through, striking the outer walls with loud, booming blasts. Dust rained down on the soldiers. A few fell, injured, but even they kept firing from the ground. Lysera sensed something else in the flagship's movement, something personal. Her instincts prickled. The Keros hadn't forgotten who she was. They knew she was alive. They knew she was on Earth. And they always aimed to finish what they started. But before she could share this thought with Aaron, a deep roar echoed from above. The flagship released a second wave, larger, more dangerous. These were elite raiders wearing thick armor and carrying advanced weapons. They descended on jet-like gliders and landed around the base in coordinated lines. Aaron immediately positioned himself at the front again. "Hold the line!" he shouted. Lysera joined him. She could see the Keros commander through the smoke, a tall figure with sharp armor and burning red eyes. She recognized him instantly. He had been part of the attack on Vale 3. She remembered him because he had shouted orders to end the princess. Her blood chilled. This was no ordinary raid. This was unfinished business for them. The Keros leader pointed directly at her. His distorted voice echoed across the battlefield. "There. She is here. Do not let her escape again." Aaron stepped forward without thinking and placed himself between her and the raiders. Lysera felt something tighten in her chest. It was the same protective instinct, the same unshakable courage she had seen before. Humans did not hide behind others. They shielded them. The raiders charged. The ground battle erupted again with furious intensity. Humans and Keros clashed in close combat. Sparks flew as weapons struck armor. The air shook with blasts and the cries of warriors. Lysera fought with her energy blade, moving swiftly, her strikes precise and graceful. Aaron fought beside her with relentless determination, blocking enemy shots and taking down raiders one by one. But the Keros leader kept advancing, forcing his way through the chaos. His eyes were locked on Lysera. She could feel his hatred like a burning flame. He wanted revenge. He wanted victory. And he believed destroying her would break the spirit of both the Vale Dominion and the humans. Aaron saw him advancing. He stepped forward again and shouted to his team. The humans formed a protective arc around Lysera, their bodies becoming a living wall. The sight shocked her. She had expected soldiers to protect their own commander, but instead, they protected her an alien queen. They were willing to risk their lives not because of politics, but because Aaron had told them to. His trust became their trust. The Keros leader used a heavy energy weapon and fired directly at the group. Aaron pushed Lysera aside just in time. The blast hitting the ground where she had been standing. The explosion shook the earth, throwing both of them to the ground. Lysera felt the impact in her bones, but quickly pushed herself up, gasping for breath. Aaron rose too, though slower. He had taken part of the blast on his armor. Burn marks spread across his sleeve. She stepped toward him in worry, but he shook his head. "I'm fine," he said. Even though he wasn't, the Keros leader stormed toward them. Lysera activated her blade again, ready to face him. But the leader was stronger, heavier, and driven by rage. His strikes came fast and powerful. Lysera parried them, but the force pushed her back step by step. Aaron tried to help, striking from the side, but the leader's armor deflected most of his blows. The battle around them grew even louder. Humans shouted orders. Raiders screamed in frustration. Explosions cracked through the air like thunder. But for Lysera and Aaron, everything narrowed to one moment, one enemy, one fight. The Keros leader swung his heavy weapon at Lysera's chest. She barely blocked it, but the impact sent pain through her arm. He pushed her down onto one knee. She tried to rise again, but the leader raised his weapon for another strike. Before the blow could fall, Aaron stepped between them. His body blocked the attack completely. The raider's weapon hit Aaron's armor with a loud crash. Aaron staggered but did not fall. He stood firm, protecting Lysera with every piece of strength he had. Lysera felt her heart clench. She had almost lost him again, the man who had saved her twice, once in her past and once now. The Keros leader roared in frustration. "Move, human." Aaron didn't move. No. That single word carried the weight of a whole species. He grabbed the leader's weapon with both hands, forcing it aside. Lysera used the opening to strike. Her blade sliced across the leader's armor, cutting through the weak point near his chest. The leader stumbled back, shocked, then fell to the ground with a heavy thud. The remaining raiders saw their commander fall. Their morale shattered instantly. Human forces pushed forward, capturing some and forcing the rest to retreat. Fighter ships in the sky chased the flagship, and after a long battle, the massive ship finally pulled away, leaving the atmosphere in defeat. The battlefield slowly quieted. Smoke drifted in the air. The sun had almost set, and the sky carried soft purple colors. Wounded soldiers were helped to medics. Teams began clearing debris. The base was damaged, but still standing. Lysera stood beside Aaron. She looked at him with deep, quiet emotion. His armor was damaged, and his arm bled lightly. But he was alive. He had survived again. And he had protected her again. She stepped closer and said softly, "I remember everything now. It was you. You saved me long ago." Aaron blinked slowly. His tired mind replayed his memory from Veil 3. He remembered carrying a frightened young alien girl through smoke, telling her she would live. He remembered her eyes. He remembered her trembling voice. And now, he saw the same eyes, older, stronger, filled with gratitude, standing in front of him. "You were the girl," he whispered. "All this time." She nodded gently. "I searched for you for years. I wanted to thank you. I wanted to know your name. And fate brought me here, to the same human who saved me twice." Aaron looked down as if the truth felt too large. "I didn't do anything special. Anyone would have. Life." "No," she said firmly. "Not anyone. Only you." He looked into her eyes then, finally understanding the weight of what he had done not once, but twice. Humans around them watched quietly, respecting the moment. There was no cheering now. Only calm silence and warm light from the setting sun. Lysera stepped close, her voice gentle. "This time, I will not forget you. And I will not lose you again." Aaron gave a faint, humble smile. "I'm not going anywhere." In that quiet, smoky battlefield, with the sky slowly clearing and the world finally safe, the alien queen realized something she had never understood before. Human strength did not come from their weapons or ships. It came from hearts like his. Hearts that protected without hesitation. Hearts that stood in front of danger. Hearts that saved lives even when no one was watching. And for the first time, Aaron realized that the life he once saved had grown into someone who now stood beside him, not as a ruler above him, but as a companion who valued him more deeply than he had ever imagined. Their story, once separated by years and galaxies, had finally become whole.